When lawyers think about marketing, it's immediate. It's exhausting, right? Because where do you even begin? Do I do branding? Do I need a new website? Should I just update my website? Do I need this SEO, whatever that is? I think I'm supposed to be on AI. And I guess I'm supposed to be on Instagram. Am I supposed to be dancing on TikTok? Like nobody knows where to even start. It feels very overwhelming. And so I actually wrote a book about this click magnet, because I said, here's the journey. So whether you use me or you don't use me as a partner, here is the journey you should be on. And one of the CLEs that I provide to a lot of bar associations is the 10 questions you need to be asking a legal marketing agency before you sign with them.
Hello, welcome back. This is Andreea Parc.
And Alexa Dumitru.
And this is Alive.Again podcast, a podcast where attorneys and other professionals meet to discuss real life challenges and how our decisions shaped our journeys. Today, we have with us the lovely attorney, Annette Choti. She has over 20 years of legal experience and is the founder and CEO of LawQuill, a concierge legal marketing agency for law firms. Annette authored the best-selling book, Click Magnet, which I guess you can see it right there behind her. The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Law Firms, hosts the popular Legal Marketing Lounge podcast, and founded Click Magnet Academy, where she teaches professionals to leverage the powerful LinkedIn platform. As a sought-after speaker for the bar associations, legal associations, and marketing conferences, thank you so much, Annette, for being here with us today. Such a pleasure to have you.
Oh my gosh, it is an absolute pleasure to be here with both you and your daughter.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's interesting that you've done theater and professional comedy, but you went to law school and became an attorney.
Well, I went to, it had a degree in political science, international relations, but I did a ton of theater. I had done a ton of theater in high school. And then I went on to get my, graduate work in theater and film. And I did a little bit of professional comedy on the side. And then I decided that, I like to eat. I like food. I like having a house. And so your opportunities, you have more of them. You're an attorney versus a professional comedian. So I thought, well, I'll go to law school. And I did that. And I was an attorney for the Department of Labor for over right around 20 years at the Employee Benefit Security. I did ERISA law, which is really boring. And then I decided to leave that and do what I do now, which is start marketing. After I worked with several marketing agencies, I started my own, which affords me the opportunity to visit with amazing people like you and be a little bit more spontaneous and creative.
It's
Thank you.
it's interesting because law is inherently a boring. You think about criminal law as the fun law. All the other kinds of law are kind of boring, especially for somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. We all need a lawyer, but it's kind of a boring thing. But I think you've made it, given your comedy and theater background, I think you've made a really good, happy medium of something, the two things that you really love to do.
Well, it's interesting because for the people that are listening to this that went to law school, not everyone in law school was boring, right? Like the actual people that you knew in law school that you went through that journey with were really fun and really entertaining and amazing and creative and thoughtful people. And then they sort of, I think that there is this assumption that once you get into law, especially if you go into big law or if you go into corporate law, that all of a sudden, it has to be these very generic suits and all of that, and speaking a certain way, behaving a certain way. And I think that in the last 10 years or so, last 5 years especially, lawyers themselves have finally decided to see themselves as a brand. They are their own brand, right? And so they are going to resonate with people who are similar to them. So there was one law firm we worked with, and everything was hot pink and black and pearls. That was her brand, and you just knew it right away. And so I feel like it's a really exciting time to be an attorney, because there is that juxtaposition now that lawyers that I don't think was ever available in decades past. It was really seen as unprofessional. But now I feel like the attorneys that are leaning into that sort of branding and in showcasing their expertise and authority in a in a way that really represents who they are as a person. I think that that is now becoming more mainstream. I'm excited for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I think that it makes them more approachable because in a sea of robots that all look the same, how are you going to resonate with somebody? Because so I feel like if you resonate with somebody, somebody who's different, it makes it easier to find someone who
Yeah.
will help you.
And I think, your mom's story, right? Which is that the things that have challenged you, the things that your experiences, both good and bad, have made you who you are. And that authenticity, which is what totally drew me to your mom, frankly, that authenticity is what sets you apart. There's a great example that I have. There was a woman that I know that's an attorney in Arizona, and she got out of law school and she did her family's estate plan. They had a farm. So she did the entire estate plan for her family. And when some people in her family passed away, they found out too late that she had done it incorrectly. And they literally lost the farm. They lost the family farm. So she, instead of hiding from that, she made the decision that she was never going to let that happen to anyone else if she could help it. So now she's an estate planning attorney that leads with that story. Wouldn't you trust her? I would absolutely trust her because of her story, which, sounds so it's gut wrenching, right? To know that you are that lost the family farm. But now that story is what distinguishes her from all the other estate planning attorneys in Arizona. So I think that those stories and who we are, that's how we connect with everyone, including people that we do business with.
And you
Yeah.
spoke about authenticity. Was it a point in your life after 20 years of working for the labor department that you said, that's it? I need to do something else. I need to find myself actually
Yes.
and do what I love.
Yes. So I was when I give my presentations, there's a slide that I use in my presentation, and it's of a beige cubicle. And I sat in a beige cubicle doing government work for 20 years. It just, I'm not saying that the work that I did was not important, and I appreciate the people who are still doing it. It was just not a great fit for my spirit. And so I was a single mom at the time. And so the government afforded me the opportunity to have a really great career and still be always at present throughout my daughter's life. So I'm very grateful for that. When I remarried, my husband would consistently hear about how fussy I was, that I just felt, I'd get up I'd have to drive to work, drive home in traffic. I was doing something that just did not fulfill me at all. And it's a very long story, but it just dropped in my lap. The idea of working with digital marketing agencies, I did that alongside of when I worked at the Department of Labor. I had to ask the ethics committee to make sure that it was okay. Ultimately, I felt like there was just a shot of creative adrenaline that was back into my system that I had frankly forgotten about. And I forgot how much I had missed it. And so now I do podcasts, I speak about something I'm very passionate about, which is helping other attorneys grow their law firms. And we do branding and websites, and we do everything. And I just feel like I can't even imagine retiring. I can't even imagine it because I love what I do so much. The truth is that I think that there is a way to infuse whatever your personality is into what you're doing
What you're
as an
doing.
attorney. And if you're not in the right practice area or the right law firm or whatever it is, there are options out there for you now that simply were not there. I mean, even 10 years ago,
Yep.
right? So, yeah, it's definitely a new play. It's definitely becoming more normal to be creative in this particular industry.
Yeah. Last week, 2 weeks ago, a guest, she does IOLTA
Oh,
accounting for law firms. And we were talking to her about how hard it is for attorneys to outsource. And I wanted to ask you because obviously you're working every day with attorneys with their mindsets, basically, of outsourcing things that would make their life easier.
so we're a type that goes to law school. Like there's a type that goes to law school. They're typically the ones who were very good academically, kind of top of their class, very competitive, maybe a little adversarial, maybe a little aggressive, used to being in the top, right? And in order to get to the top, you have to do things yourself. And especially in like, high school or college, you don't outsource those things to people. You are the one that is getting everything done. So then, if you decide to start your own law firm, right, that mindset that has been entrenched inside of you, which is that you get everything done, stays with you. And here's the truth, you can get everything done, right? Like you could, um, but you can't do everything, right? There's that saying that you says you can do anything you want, you just can't do everything you want. So could you go spend 5 years learning digital marketing? Yes, you could. You could go learn how to make websites or do branding or do your accounting, right? You can learn all of this. But if you want to actually practice law, you you can't do everything. And so what ends up happening, especially attorneys that own their own law firms, I think that there's this supposition that because it is the law and we are providing justice for people, that it's not a business, but it is a business, right? It is in fact a business first, because if you don't create that business, then you won't be able to provide justice for anyone. So I feel like that is lost in a lot of law. My law school does it very, very well, UMKC, helping the entrepreneurial spirit of lawyers, young lawyers, but a lot of law firms don't. They don't teach lawyers how to be business people. And when you are a business owner, right, you need to outsource because you simply cannot do everything yourself. The question is not whether you need to outsource, it's how do you make really great decisions about who to outsource to? How can you trust the partners and the vendors that you're working with, your accountants, your marketers, all of the people that are helping you with payroll, whatever it is? It's not whether or not you need to outsource, you absolutely do. The question is, how do you find really great people to partner with to help you grow your business? It's hard. It is very hard to convince some attorneys of this, but the attorneys that get this, like the ones that get it, they're the ones that are succeeding because they're outsourcing this to people who is their zone of genius, right? Like accounting is not my zone of genius. I have an accountant and a bookkeeper. When I went to law school, I was told there would be no math, right? So I don't want any part of it. I'm no good at it. Could I learn it? I guess. I mean, I took tax law a million years ago, but I don't know what I'm doing. I would have to go figure it all out. I would rather outsource that to people that it's their zone of genius.
And I think that's a universal problem for a lot of business owners, period. Because especially for I find this a problem in my business and I'm a creative. And I find it so difficult to post on Instagram because I
Mm,
do everything just as you were saying. I'm the model. I do the whole creative Like, I do everything, and I just find it so difficult to actually put myself out there and post it. And I've been thinking about that for a while, that I should be outsourcing this to somebody who it's their zone of expertise. So it's a very common problem that a lot of people face, and lawyers don't have somebody to advocate to them about it, which is wonderful that that's who you chose to advocate for.
Well, I also think it's the fact that so many people have been burned in the past by marketing agencies or accountants. I've been burned by accountants too, right? So then there's this, frankly, the market, I can just speak to marketing. The legal marketing industry is very predatory, right? There's a lot of people who don't have law degrees. They don't understand the law. They don't understand the ethics requirements. They don't understand these things. And so, law firms, the one time that they actually try to dip their toe into the water with this, they get burned. So then they're like, that's it. I'm not going to do it again. And so I think that's hard as well. It's really important to find partners in accounting or marketing or whatever you're trying to grow, like even having a VA or an associate or an answering service, right? Whatever's going to help you grow your law firm. I think it's so important to find vendors and partners who can help you. I think it's hard though because also people have been burned, right? But all business owners, I mean, me included, have been burned. And I think it's a really good idea for a law firm owner if they don't have a business strategist working with them, maybe to read some books, I'm sure they have, but figure out all of the buckets. Like, this is my marketing bucket, this is my accounting bucket, this is how I grow my internal team, this is how I have a client journey, like they find me, how are my phones being answered, how's that being captured, how are those being followed up on. It's like all these moving parts, right? And so you need help if you're going to grow, because I'm sure you've heard this before, that a law firm gets a bunch of new clients and then they work those clients. When they're done with those cases, there's nothing in the pipeline anymore, right? Because they're doing everything themselves. So then it's feast or famine, right? So they need someone to be, handling their marketing, their accounting, answering their calls, doing their social media, um, for them, so that they have these teams in place. And frankly, nowadays, there are people that that's their whole job, right? To do these things. So I think the most important question that a lawyer can ask is, what is my return on investment? And that can be money, right? In terms of marketing, like I spend this amount a month, I got this many new clients, that's a 10x return. But there's also a return on time, right? There's a return on your own mental health
Yeah.
and well-being, right?
Yeah.
So not only am I making more money, but what would it cost me if I had to do this myself, right? The nights not spending with your daughter, right? Or not being able to see the games or the, choir events or whatever it is, or just relaxing, right? There's an ROI in terms of money investment. That's important. But also there are other ROIs, right? Just in terms of your own mental health and well being.
Definitely. I think outsourcing for attorneys is not only a business decision, I think it's an emotional decision.
It is. And it's one that, as a business owner myself, I struggled with, right? And I had heard all the stories. The only way you can level up is if you add people to your team. But I was scared. I was like, well, I don't want to add people because that's going to cost me money. But I will tell you that when I finally listened to the people who are making way more money than me and way smarter than me, when I finally listened to them and outsourced certain parts of my business, developed departments in my business. We have 20 people now that work for LawQuill. So, when I started outsourcing things and all of it, the, the return was almost instant. Not only in what I got back financially, but my mental health as well. Like, I did not need to be involved in every single decision or the accounting. Please help me. I'm terrible at it. Or, just micro decisions that have to, or emails that need to be just quick one off emails, right? There's a great book called Buy Back Your Time. I highly recommend it. And there's an exercise in there. And of course, I thought, oh, I don't need to do this exercise. But I went ahead and did it. And when I did that exercise, I realized that 4 to 5 hours out of every day of mine was spent answering emails.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing? And these are not emails I needed to answer, right? These could have been handed off to my team. So I think, yes, you're right. It's an emotional decision as well to say, I don't I don't need to be involved in every single decision. It's going to be okay. I can get, and then the joy that you feel, just
Yeah.
the relief
I
of
really do.
having a team.
And it all goes back to finding the right people, ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is, that is uncomfortable, but true, is that as you build out certain parts of your business as a law firm, you will probably have experiences with people that are not a good fit, right? Answering services that might not be a good fit, or in my instance, it was accountants that were not a good fit, but, or marketing agencies, right? That are not a good fit. That doesn't mean that you don't need those people to help you. It just means that you went through the fire that all entrepreneurs go through, which is to partner with somebody that just wasn't a good fit. So keep going.
Working with someone that it's not a good fit gives you the opportunity to appreciate someone that is.
Yes. If I can just, I cannot tell you how many people I visit with. And there are stories upon stories about how they have, I mean, horror stories of working with marketing agencies that have just held them hostage in year-long contracts, not ever visited with that. They don't know what they're just paying for nothing. And so that's awful, because that's a huge hill that I have to overcome. But I will tell you, on the other side of that hill, when people actually work with us, they're so appreciative. They're like, wow, we hear from you throughout the month. We have meetings. We know where we're at. I'm not saying that, but there are quite a few, unfortunately, unscrupulous ones out there that lack integrity. And so when they end up working with me, they're very loyal
Yeah.
because, we actually deliver what we say we're
Yeah.
going to. And, I feel that too, because it was the same way. I keep bringing up the accountant, but I went through four and that were not a good fit. And so, from a marketing perspective, when client law firms come to me, I'm like, I get it. Like, I know what you've been through. And I also know what it means to work with someone that is a good fit. So that's my encouragement to law firms that are still struggling to find a good fit in, or maybe it's a VA, or maybe it's a receptionist or a paralegal or whoever it is, finding another partner or members for your team. Just keep going. You need it to
Yeah.
grow. So you have to
Definitely.
just keep
Yeah.
pushing through.
So take us a little bit through your services. So, for example, it's a solo practitioner or a small law firm that would like to grow. Where do they find you? How do they work with you? And what can you offer for them? And where can
Well,
you take them?
I think what's interesting is that when law firms think about marketing, when lawyers think about marketing, it's immediate. It's exhausting, right? Because where do you even begin? Do I do branding? Do I need a new website? Should I just update my website? Do I need this SEO, whatever that is? I think I'm supposed to be on AI. And I guess I'm supposed to be on Instagram. Am I supposed to be dancing on TikTok? Like, nobody knows where to even start. It feels very overwhelming. And so I actually wrote a book about this click magnet, because I said, here's the journey. So whether you use me or you don't use me as a partner, here is the journey you should be on. And one of the CLEs that I provide to a lot of bar associations is the 10 questions you need to be asking a legal marketing agency before you sign with them, so that these are the questions you need to ask. But basically, you need to start with branding. That's the very first thing. Some law firms already have it. Great. We can move on to stage 2. But branding, it's just more than a logo, right? It's more than just some colors. It is the emotional connection that you will have with your potential clients and your current clients. So, law firms feel very overwhelmed when they start thinking about marketing. They're not sure exactly where to start with it. Do I need a new brand? Do I need a new website? Do I need to be doing social media? Do I need SEO? I think I'm supposed to be on AI, ChatGPT. So it feels very overwhelming. And I actually wrote a book because people that don't go with me for their legal marketing services, I still want them to have a blueprint for what they should be doing first, second, third, fourth, all of that. The very first thing you need to do before you do absolutely anything else is have a brand. And a brand is more than a logo, it's more than colors. The emotional connection that you are creating with your potential clients and clients. Just like I said, there was that one attorney who was an estate planning attorney that lost the family farm. If that resonates with you, then that is your attorney. She has a story, that's her brand. There's another attorney, actually, he does a lot of personal injury law, but he does motorcycle law because he rides a motorcycle and has for 40 years. So he's entrenched in that community, and his brand, his website looks like crime scene tape everywhere. It's super clever and it is totally on brand for him. That may not resonate with everyone, right? And that's okay. You're not for everyone, right? And the brand should then say, okay, this is resonating with certain people and not with other people. That's your brand. It's all your differentiators. And it sounds a little woo woo, but it's not. It's why should someone, listen, there's a lot of family law attorneys out there, personal injury attorneys. Why should somebody choose you? That's your branding. And then after you have that and you're clear on it, and it can take some time to develop that if it's done right. At that point, you need to develop a website. I always say it should be a WordPress website that you own. .com is where there's like, it's free and you can have advertise. You don't want that on there. So WordPress.org website. Once you have virtual real estate that you own and you've developed that out, you now have the foundation for the rest of all of your marketing. At that point, it depends. You should always be putting content on your website or having someone do it for you that's optimized for SEO. Once you build your website, you can't just build it and they will come, right? You have to keep showing to Google that you have authority, expertise, that you're trustworthy. So they put you ahead of your competitors on their search engine. By the way, it works the same for AI. AI doesn't have anything in and of itself. AI is simply pulling from all of these search engines, right? In a conversational way. So if you are doing really well on Google, you will also likely be doing well on AI. And that's a whole nother conversation, but it's very important to put yourself out there and continually showcase your expertise and authority. If you don't believe me, that's okay. Go to your competitors' websites and see their blog section and see how often they are posting really great blogs. And I just know, I'll bet a lot of money on it that they just have more blogs. They have more practice area pages built out, location pages. So if you're in Atlanta and you're a family law attorney, they might have Atlanta family law attorney, Atlanta divorce lawyer, right? And then all the suburbs of Atlanta are listed with all of that. And then alimony and child support lawyer and all of the different things that can come along with that. So that needs to be continually built out on your website. Once you've done all that, branding, website, search engine optimization, AI optimization, search everywhere optimization, the next step is promoting yourself on social media. This also depends. If you are an intellectual property attorney, right, dealing with fashion or music or people with creative ideas, you probably want to be on Instagram, right? That's where your people are. If you are a business attorney doing sophisticated M&A transactions, you don't really need to be on Instagram. You need to be on LinkedIn, right? You need to maybe even be creating different groups online that, like in Substack, right? Maybe that's an area for you. If you are a personal injury attorney or a family law attorney, paid ads do really well for you. And frankly, Facebook, right? The good old Facebook, because that's where families are, moms and dads that might be getting divorced. It's where people go to talk about the fact that maybe they were in an accident. Hey, do you know of an attorney that can represent me? I was in an Uber accident, whatever it is. So you need to start promoting yourself in these places, and it's free to do that. However, it's probably better to get someone to do that for you because, like you said, do you have time to be doing all of this? And then there are these sort of like little sub things you can do. You could create a podcast, right? You could write a book. You could write just smaller books that are downloadables on your. There's one attorney we worked with. She had 100 and I think it was like 120-page downloadable do your own divorce. And it had all the forms for the state and everything in it. So people would download it and they would get to about page 5 and they would say, I'm not doing this. I don't know how to do it. I know I'm going to do it wrong. And then they would hire her. But it was a brilliant move because she's giving them all the information to do it. And at the same time, proving that it might not be such a great idea for this to do them. Now, that wouldn't work for, a sophisticated M&A transaction attorney. So at that point, it is best to maybe visit with someone who does not have a cookie cutter marketing strategy, but that will really work with you on a sort of concierge white glove level to figure out what is going to move your law firm. How big are you? What practice areas do you have? What location are you in? New York City is different than Hayes, Kansas, right? And then where do you want to be? Do you just want to tread water where you're at? Or are you planning, to hire 10 attorneys in the next 3 years? So all of that marketing should then directly correlate with what your goals are and, feed right into that. And then there's a whole nother sales component. Like what happens when somebody actually calls your law firm, right? We all know of experiences where people are calling law firms and it's awful. They get awful experiences with that. So that is kind of the final instance is, looping this all together with your sales team and with your intake team. So we provide all of those services. And some we will decide together in partnership with a law firm that this is a better idea than others. And it's usually dependent on the size of a law firm and their budget and who they are interested in attracting. For example, there was a law firm we worked with, and she wanted to deal with, she's in Iowa. There's a lot of farms in Iowa. She did family law. She focuses only on, she'll take other ones, but her focus is divorces that involve family farms. So that is a brand. We built the website around it. All of the content is written around this, and now she's known for this, right? So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about it just because I know it works. I know that it works.
Yeah,
It works every time.
definitely.
When it's done the right way, it always works if it's done
Yeah.
right. So,
But a lot of people are afraid to pay money before they see something.
yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Well, we're very lucky that we have a lot of raving fans. So we don't just have testimonials or reviews, although we do have a 100% 5-star review rating on Google. We have, I think, over 100 reviews in total and video testimonials and case studies that we can show. We've been doing this a really long time. So more than likely, if you are at any size of a law firm, from solo small to enterprise level, multiple states, multiple practice areas, we have something that we can show you that we've helped someone like you. And one of the best things I ever heard was there's an attorney, and he is the owner of a law firm that is in multiple states, hundreds of attorneys. And he said, if anyone ever questions, if you're ever on a call to try to get someone and they are confused whether or unsure whether or not that, he's like, here's my personal cell phone number, they can call me. So we have a lot of raving fans. And I think that's the best way, is to just let other people say the job that we've done for them, instead of trying to
Word of mouth. Yeah.
yeah, trying to convince them, because anybody can say anything, right? Like, anybody can say anything, but we have case studies that prove that what we do works, that you will get a return on investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really graft into a law firm, whether it's small or large, and become their entire in-house marketing team. So I think that the testimonials are the way that we get, it's just much easier to convince people when you have
Definitely.
someone
Yeah.
else say it
Va-
for you.
So, in the era of viral marketing and TikTok and these young kids that have the attention span of a goldfish, there is an attorney that I've seen on TikTok and Instagram who he's a personal injury slash criminal and a lot of DUI stuff. And he, coming out of court, he pulls the client aside and says, I got my client out of this and this and this, and they did this and this and this. How do you feel? And they're like, oh, wow, I feel great. This lawyer is amazing. And it's like a super awkward interaction, but it goes crazy viral. So, what do you think about that from a marketing standpoint
So there
and
is,
an ethical standpoint? Sorry to interrupt.
yes, I will
that
talk.
was my question when she told me about it.
So I'll talk about the marketing, and then I'll talk about the ethics second. I'll give you a story. I'm in Kansas City, and there is a guy, he's actually really nice and does a lot for the community and the wildlife community. He's an attorney, and the name of his law firm is Jungle Law. He's got blonde hair that goes to about here, and there's billboards all. If you are in Kansas City listening to this, you are laughing because you know who he is. There's billboards of him on jungle vines swinging, and he looks like Tarzan. So everyone knows him, right? Everyone knows him. Jungle Law. And then there's another one in Kansas City, Mike's Got This. Everywhere you see Mike's Got This, Mike's Got This. And so there is a strategy to that marketing that works. It typically costs an astronomical amount of money to be able to do that type of marketing, but not as many people do it anymore. So if you're willing to spend that, you might get a great return on it. Regarding TikTok, there are lawyers out there that do this. The lift is heavy on it because you have to be on it all the time. Typically, the lawyer themselves has to be handling this. They have to love doing it. They have to love being on camera, love doing, a day in the life or whatever it is, and on there all the time. And even if they do that, the likelihood of them going viral um, may not happen. More importantly than going viral, and this is what I tell my attorneys too, is that we don't care about looks or views, or how many times it's shared. We don't really care about that. How many clients are you getting because of this? That I want to know how much more money is in your pocket. So it's a heavy lift. It's a lot of work to do all of these sort of videos on TikTok. The question is that the best use of your time? For some people, clearly this guy, it is. My question to this gentleman, he would never tell me, but my question would be, how many of the leads that you get right now are direct referrals from TikTok, or is this just something entertaining that people happen to watch and they don't actually hire you? Because if you were an attorney in one state you're only working in that one state, but yet your TikToks are going worldwide. So then how many people in that one state for personal injury or DUI or whatever it is are actually hiring you versus the world? Regarding the ethics of it, I highly recommend that attorneys are not on TikTok. Here's why. If you want to be on TikTok, you need to have a separate phone to do it and a separate computer. You need separate everything. When you sign, not to be political, this is just the truth. When you sign the agreement with TikTok, there is in that agreement that you have given them the right to look through everything in your phone. That means that if you are doing anything that's attorney client privilege, like if you are sending emails or if you are IOLTA, right? Like if you're doing bank account transactions, if you're doing anything like this, TikTok has the ability to look at. Now, will they? I don't know. What do they do with that information if they even do find it? I know this as an attorney, it gives me ethical heartburn, right? Because I know I'm not supposed to allow anyone to see attorney client privileged information. So TikTok gives me a little bit, TikTok disturbs the integrity portion of the marketing for me. And frankly, I just don't know how much return there is on investment, except for the like 0.00001% of people who are all in on it, right? And you know that those lawyers are spending like it's all the time that they're on there. So that is my very long answer about TikTok.
Yeah, I think ultimately, in a weird parallel universe, goes back to the word of mouth. If he does get any clients in return from that. I
Yeah.
think it's a weird parallel to the word of mouth
Yeah.
thing where they see, oh, he's done great things for this person. Maybe he can do great things for me.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's a weird version of law where it's a little less classy. I'm gonna put it that way. And I think it works.
I
Although the ethical background is not great.
listen, I think it works if you have a way to target the people that are your audience in your location.
Right.
I think the reason Jungle Law does so well in Kansas City, even though it is an unconventional way of of approaching marketing, is that he's only showing himself his services to the people here in Kansas City. So it makes sense. But on TikTok, if you go viral, now 3 million people have seen you, and 2.99999 of those do not live in your state. So I may you're famous, but is that making you any money? I'm always interested,
Right. It
like
yeah, it goes
yeah,
back to the question.
money. Yeah,
Yeah, it goes back to the question, why is he doing it?
right.
Because maybe he just does it for the fun of
The
it.
passion.
Sure,
Maybe he wanted to be a comedian or whatever, an actor. And
right.
this
Or
is his way of doing whatever he loves.
maybe it's just clearly it's his personality because he does it and he does it well. And maybe there's a chance he repurposes that content. I don't know what his marketing strategy is, but repurposes that for and retargets people who are just in his geographic location where he's doing business. I would recommend to him that he do that so that he gets more traction out of the effort that he's putting in on TikTok. I mean, it's there and people want it. And in an age where everybody wants to be famous, right? Then the question becomes, well, do you want to be famous or do you want to make some money? So sometimes those are different questions and different answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting case study to look at.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
And now that right before I ask the last question, I want to ask you, what do you see as changes in attorneys' lives or nervous systems after they work with you?
That's interesting that you say that because a lot of the testimonials that we have are very emotionally driven. They say, I feel calmer. I feel less stressed. I feel more sure that I'm going to get a consistent level of leads. It, regulates their emotional, it gives them emotional bandwidth as well to do more of what they love, which is not marketing. And I think that the way that we do our marketing, we do not use AI to write anything, but we do use AI for certain matters to make sure that our lawyers get seen. So it definitely gives lawyers peace of mind to know that somebody is handling that. We do the AI part just to make sure that they're being shown on different AI platforms. But what's interesting is one of the things that we do with a lot of our law firms is something that no other agency I know of does, and that is actually create partnerships for the law firm within their community. So if they are a personal injury attorney, we reach out to chiropractors, physical therapists, and start building those connections for them. I think I have a bit of an unconventional point of view on this. Everyone is running towards AI. It's important. We use it for systems and processes for LawQuill as well. But I think as more and more people get very familiar with AI, which has happened just in a short period of time, right? Like 3, 4 years, I think that there is a human connection that people are craving. They don't want to see anything airbrushed anymore. We're sick of it. We know when someone has written something with AI. Right. And so, even though AI is getting better and better at what it does, it can never be human. And I think people are craving this as attorneys for their
Action, yeah.
emotional, for everything. So hiring a marketing agency that is a great partner can help take that off your plate so that you have more time to invest in your business, in your people, in your network, in your relationships. Go have a cup of coffee with someone, right? Yes, absolutely. And so we really encourage that with our law firms is even if they're really, really big, that just means there needs to be more coffee, meetups and things like that and connections. Because at the end of the day, and I say this as a digital marketer, at the end of the day, people do business with people, right? And so they don't do they don't do business with someone who is a person who is just using AI to represent them. People do business with people. And I think the more that it kind of goes back to the very beginning of this conversation, right? When you showcase who you are and how you are different, your differentiators, what makes you the attorney that someone should choose, I think again it's that human connection that I think we'll have to revisit this podcast in a few years, but I think that when you look back, I think that it will become clear that it just goes in, like there's a division between the AI role and then the actual human networking
Human.
of things. That's what I think. And then that's what brings us peace, right? Because as people, we are meant to have conversations with people.
People.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And human connection, basically.
I frankly think that's the reason that podcasts, I think that that's the reason that YouTube channels that show people interacting with each other do so well. I think it's why Clubhouse, if you remember that, Clubhouse did so well during the pandemic because we were all in our homes quarantined and we were just desperate for human connection. So I think that Clubhouse, while that's proven to be a bit of a eventually a failed experiment because now we're all back out in the world, I think Clubhouse is actually proof that we have a deep desire to be connected to people and grow our network as well, our ecosystem of who we visit with.
And now that we're at the end, it's the one question that I ask every guest, and that is besides your responsibilities and work, what is one activity in your life that makes you feel more alive?
I would say that my faith is very, very strong. And so for me, that's the most important thing to me above anything else. So every morning, almost every morning, I sit down before everyone is awake and I do Bible study. And that to me sets my day up, and it reminds me of my purpose and the point of all of this. And without that, all of my work and my hobbies and my family and my friends, it, it doesn't, it makes everything fit in the right places. So that is what I do for my spirit and my soul. That is a great question.
Thank you so much. We never had that answer. So that is wonderful.
Yeah.
I have hobbies that I do, but they are hobbies. They don't have the same level of deep importance, refreshment, encouragement, all the things that faith can bring you. So,
Well, Annette, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom and for all the advice basically to us and to the attorneys listening.
well, I want to say thank you because it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and your vulnerability and authenticity is something that I feel is lacking not only in the legal community, but in the world. And so I just am very honored to know you and to be on this podcast and to meet your lovely daughter who's doing incredible things as well. So thank you. Truly, the honor was mine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our listeners, thank you for listening. For more conversations and more guests, please subscribe and follow us. We will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.